Confirmation hearings for Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh continue. The latest on the testimonies regarding the sexual assault allegations against him.
Following the Kavanaugh hearing, we talk with students here on campus for their thoughts.
And Bill Cosby has been sentenced to prison for his sexual assault trial. More in entertainment.
And fall is finally here. We will have more details in weather. Newscene starts right now.
Welcome to this week's episode of Newscene. I'm Colton Chavez.
And I am Shonda Walker.
In breaking news, the Supreme Court Judiciary Committee has confirmed Brett Kavanaugh for a Senate vote, but Senator Jeff Flake is calling for an FBI investigation to delay that vote. Flake said, quote, "This country is being ripped apart here. We've got to make sure that we do due diligence." This follows the testimonies yesterday about the sexual assault allegations against Kavanaugh. Matthew Schrayer has more on that hearing. Matthew.
Thank you, Colton and Shonda. Dr. Christine Blasey Ford was very emotional on Capitol Hill Thursday morning as she testified against the Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Dr. Ford alleges that the nominee groped her and put his hand over her mouth when they were in high school during the summer of 1982 at a house party. She claims that there were at least 5 other people present, including Kavanaugh's friend Mark Judge, but Kavanaugh, Judge, and 2 others deny being there.
I don't expect that PJ and Leland would remember this evening. It was a very unremarkable party. It was not one of their more notorious parties because nothing remarkable happened to them that evening. They were downstairs. And Mr. Judge is a different story. I would expect that he would remember that this happened.
You were the object of the laughter?
I was underneath one of them while the 2 laughed. Two friends having a really good time with one another.
This confirmation process has become a national disgrace. The Constitution gives the Senate an important role in the confirmation process, but you have replaced advice and consent with search and destroy.
Yeah, also many senators questioned the Supreme Court nomination, and Brett Kavanaugh obviously declines his request. Also, according to Fox News, President Trump orders a supplemental investigation into the Kavanaugh file. That's all I have for the report. Back to you, Shonda and Colton at the desk.
Thank you, Matthew, for that report. As protesters gathered on Capitol Hill to protest Brett Kavanaugh's hearing yesterday, students here at San Diego City College held an open mic to speak out against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Alexander Rangel has the story.
Stand up, fight back! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! What do we do? Stand up!
Dozens of students rallied in the quad area to stand in solidarity with Dr. Christine Blasey Ford. Stand up, speak out, stop Kavanaugh were the words printed on flyers posted at San Diego City College promoting Thursday's rally. The protest was organized by student activists from the International Socialist Organization Club on campus.
We're here today openly opposing Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation to the Supreme Court because of his history of opposing reproductive rights and the cases of sexual assault that he has committed. To be brief, Kavanaugh is Trump's nominee who has a judicial record on issues of protecting religious liberty and enforcing restrictions on abortion.
Monica Montgomery, running candidate for District 4, spoke on what she says is a mockery of a hearing.
And we are questioning her credibility, her character, in the era of Me Too. This is not acceptable, and we are here to say that we don't stand for it. That is what we are here for.
The open mic rally encouraged victims of sexual assault to share their story.
I was a sexual assault victim, and they actually declined my case because there was no evidence. Just because no one says anything then, and now they're speaking out, maybe they just got that courage to finally say something. because it took me a long time to actually say something myself.
Professor and student ally Dr. Kelly Mayhew hopes change will come from Thursday's hearing.
I'm old enough to have lived through the Clarence Thomas, to have been an adult during the Clarence Thomas Anita Hill hearings, and things didn't change for that one. Although I do believe that that planted some of the seeds.
Members from the club believe there is a better choice for the Supreme Court seat. Reporting for Newscene, Alexandra Rengel.
We asked students on campus what they thought about the controversy surrounding Kavanaugh, and here's what they said.
Obviously, for a victim, if you ever been traumatized, it stays in your brain forever. You always remember it.
In regards to his sexual misconduct in the past, I believe that it's not right, and he should be held accountable for his actions.
It seems a little ridiculous to me for him to be put in that power.
Even if he was cleared right now of all accusations, which doesn't look feasible, his credibility is already damaged.
Several students were interviewed and we didn't find anyone who supported Kavanaugh. On Wednesday, the UN Security Council was held in New York where President Trump had some strong accusations against China. Trump claims China is trying to interfere in the upcoming 2018 November election. The president had this to say.
Regrettably, we found that China has been attempting to interfere in our upcoming 2018 election. They do not want me or us to win because I am the first president ever to challenge China.
The president also mentioned there is evidence China representatives say they continue to follow non-interference policies.
In Madagascar, a suspect is in custody for the death of a U.S. diplomat. The diplomat was found in his home in the capital. The suspect was caught trying to jump over the fence while he was fleeing from the diplomat's home. Officials are investigating the death.
And police in Acapulco are being investigated after being suspected of drug infiltration. The Mexican military overtook the police after they failed to respond to a series of crimes. More than 700 officers have been forced to give up their guns, bulletproof vests, and radios. Some cops have been detained and 2 commanding officers were arrested for homicide. The military will remain in control, but the police are under federal investigation. And a Chinese national has been charged in Chicago. More coming up after the break.
President Trump has taken a side on the latest spending bill. More after the break.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally. I did. Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that strollers have the right of way on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Yep, I did. Did you guys
Did you know that kids who eat breakfast have higher GPAs?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say.
Did you know babies should never touch silver? It's really bad for them.
I knew that.
Did you guys know that statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
I'm putting that on my blog.
I just put it in mine.
A Chinese national is charged with and arrested for allegedly spying on the United States. On behalf of China, 27-year-old Ji Chak-hoon was allegedly attempting to scout and recruit potential Chinese spies for a high-level intelligence officer of China. He was living in Chicago where he was studying electrical engineering at the Illinois Institute of Technology. Ji is also enlisted in the Army Reserves under a program that allows foreign nationals to be recruited if their skills are found to be vital to national interests. Ji could also be facing up to 10 years in prison if he's found guilty of acting as an illegal foreign agent.
President Donald Trump has ended suspense around the spending package that funds a large section of the government. President Trump signed a package of more than $800 billion. The bill is aimed to avoid a shutdown and keep the federal government open into the new fiscal year. This happens just weeks before the midterm elections. It was overwhelmingly approved by the Senate last week. Wednesday's House vote was 361 to 61. The president gave mixed signals on whether he would sign the bill earlier this week due to a lack of money for the border wall.
And an animal-conscious bill first passed in California may soon be seen in New York. The bill will require pet stores to not only sell animals from rescue shelters. This is an effort to stop puppy and kitty mills that keep the animals under inhumane care. Animal rights activists argue there are so many animals being euthanized in shelters due to overpopulation from mills. The bill is on track to be introduced later this fall. And the body of a missing 6-year-old boy with autism has been found in a creek. Maddox Rich ran off during a walk with his father at a North Carolina lake. His body was found a mile away from where he was last seen. The search for him includes dogs, drones, and even helicopters playing recorded messages of his mom's voice in hopes that he would hear it and come home. This is the common practice for finding children with autism, as they are prone to run away. Rich was also nonverbal, which made the search even more difficult.
A 7-year-old girl wowed a major league crowd with her singing voice. Malaya Emma was becoming an internet sensation with her recent and most impressive rendition of the Star Spangled Banner that she sang in last Sunday's LA Galaxy game. She has performed the national anthem.
Fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming.
She has performed the national anthem 3 other times, but never in front of a crowd as large as the one at StubHub Center in Carson, California.
That is a feel-good story. Scientists have recently published an alarming diagnosis of decades-old research that analyzes one's aptitude for mechanical engineering. However, the test was able to identify signs of Alzheimer's in high school teens. Researchers hope to use this test in order to provide diagnosis of the disease from adolescents' past medical records. Based on the results of the 1960s test, 85,000 teens were found to have developed Alzheimer's. It's been proven that men who scored low on the mechanical reasoning and women who scored low on memory for word had higher chances of having the disease.
A San Francisco transit, which took nearly 10 years to build, has temporarily shut down more than $2 billion after officials discovered a crack was spotted in a steel beam in the ceiling. Workers discovered cracks around 10 a.m. Tuesday morning while doing maintenance work. Experts spent the day inspecting the damage and decided to shut down the station. Hours later, officials forced more than 30 bus lines to be redirected as the afternoon rush hour began. Key underpass along the side of the buildings were also closed, snarling area traffic. Structural engineers would be working at the building on a daily basis to access whether it was safe to reopen. It's still unknown how long it will take to fix the beam and what caused it to take place to happen in the first place.
And staying on the topic of a commute, if you wanted to ride in a Tesla, the dream may be a little farther away. Tesloop, the car service that offered rides from San Diego to Los Angeles in a Tesla, is being suspended. The ride was limited to just 3 riders, and you could make the trip to Los Angeles for as little as $30. The company says they needed permits and also that there was a lack of charging areas along the way. The service will be suspended in October.
A lot of legal drumming going on in the celebrity world this week. What's going on in entertainment, David?
Per usual, a lot of drama, Shonda. This week wraps up Bill Cosby's legal saga. He was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in Pennsylvania maximum security prison for drugging and assaulting Andrea Constant 14 years ago. Cosby spent his first 3 nights in State Correctional Institute, Phoenix. Reportedly, he hasn't been given a cellmate due to his high profile. This also could be due to the particular nature of his crime. Formerly incarcerated sports celebrity O.J. Simpson told TMZ he fears Cosby is in danger from other inmates. Ahead of the sentencing, Simpson said he thinks no warden would want responsibility for the comedian because of his age and his health, Cosby being legally blind. He thinks Cosby should serve his time under house arrest instead. Stevie Wonder also weighed in, saying that he is hoping that God has mercy on Cosby's soul. However, BET is reporting that other inmates are actually excited for Cosby's arrival. The network says they even nicknamed the actor OG, standing for Original Gangster, usually a term of endearment. However, at this point, it could be an ironic use of the word here. Hot New Hip Hop says authorities think it's in Cosby's best interest to stay busy to limit the potential for violence. Taking into consideration his blindness and other health conditions, he could work in the kitchen or as a nurse aide or as a sewer. They hope that in a while he'll be able to join the general population of inmates. And in other news, the Carters are back in town. Jay-Z and Beyonce stopped in San Diego Thursday night on their On the Run 2 tour. The couple performed some of the hottest hits of their careers, everything from 03 Bonnie and Clyde, you know, that old song back then, that's my stuff, and then Drunk in Love, and of course some of the new heat from their new album, Everything Is Love. Charlie's had to extend their service around SDCC's U Stadium to accommodate the large crowds of people that attended the concert. And a cultural icon and award-winning actor turns the big 5-0 this week, and he does it in Big Willie style. Will Smith celebrated his 50th birthday Tuesday, and if you were wondering how Will Smith would celebrate the occasion, if you had guessed that he did it by jumping out of a helicopter, which I'm pretty sure you didn't, that's exactly what he did. And it was all caught on camera by the man himself. You could see that he was with his two sons, Trey and Jaden, as well as his wife and his daughter, Jada and Willow. He's been pulling off crazy stunts like this all over his YouTube vlog, and it looks like he's having a lot of fun. Happy birthday, Will. And that's all the time that I have for you in entertainment. Back to you at the desk.
Will Smith getting crazy in the wild, wild west with that jumping out of a helicopter. Would you want to do something like that for your birthday?
No.
No, me personally, I'm going to stay at the gift table with a piece of cake. Well, coming back, we have the latest on a Carlsbad surfer who went missing in Mexico.
Plus, Lyft is offering a new incentive to encourage San Diego residents to take public transit. Find out more after the break.
Daisy is 6 years old, and she is my very best friend. I couldn't live alone without her. I spend a lot of time in my backyard. I feed the birds and the bees. I love my flowers. The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent, thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. I love them. They're my savior. And I look forward to volunteers because they've all become my friends. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
And breaking news, Facebook says an attack this week exposed information of nearly 50 million users. The company announced the attack today, but they've known since earlier in the week. Facebook says hackers exploited a feature that allows users to see their profiles the way other users do, to take control of their account. 90 million users were forced to log out of their accounts this morning for security reasons. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the identity and location of the hackers are known and authorities have been informed. And a suspected drunk driver being treated at the UCSD Medical Center after crashing at the San Diego Usadero point of entry Tuesday night. Police tried to pull the driver over for speeding in Coronado, but the driver led them on a chase towards Mexico. The driver will be booked once he is released from the hospital.
A well-known professional surfer from Carlsbad went missing in Mexico, has been found dead. His family made a statement confirming his death. Adam Francis Estespisos, disappearance caused widespread interest on social media, including a post from surfing legend Kelly Slater, who shared a picture of him. Officials say the cause of the death was drowning. Children walking home from Mira Mesa High School reported 2 separate instances of men in cars committing what the principal called lewd acts earlier this week. The principal warned parents and students to be on alert of their surroundings.
Now on to Edgar with the latest on info in San Diego City athletics. What can we expect, Edgar?
Thanks, guys. Let's get into the sportscast. This week is a roller coaster of wins and losses for our San Diego City Knights, whom you're about to see in these photos from the SD City's athletic page. On Saturday, the men's and women's cross-country teams ran in the San Bernardino Challenge, where one of our Knights, Andres Zamudio, managed to get 5th place out of over 70 runners in the 4K. Unfortunately, the women's team finished second to last overall in the 5K. Later on Wednesday, our women's volleyball team narrowly lost against San Jacinto, 3-2. Also, 2 important games took place on our soccer field on Tuesday. First, our men's team battled for supremacy against Palomar. Despite the attempts of the Palomar Comets, the fast-paced game was mostly dominated by our City Knights. Rafael Lopez scored 2 goals in the first half for the Knights, and Gustavo Velasquez scored 1 goal in the second. Palomar did manage to score a goal eventually, but the overall win is 3-1 in favor of San Diego City College. Unfortunately, the women's game against Southwestern College did not go as well. The Southwestern female Jaguars, playing in white, destroyed our Knights over the course of both halves of the game. Despite the valiant attempts and 8 saves by our goalie, Andrea Camano, the Jaguars were quicker and had better passes and intercepts than the home team. Also, one of the Knights even received a red card and is thus barred from the following game. The eventual score is 3-1 in favor of the Jaguars. The new San Diego Pro football team in the Alliance of American Football will be named the San Diego Fleet in honor of the U.S. Pacific Naval Fleet that's stationed here. The team's official colors will include Battleship Gray and Sun Yellow. The yellow is a tribute to our endless sunshine. The San Diego Fleet's logo also includes a single chevron as a representation of the petty officers, and the players will even wear naval-inspired uniforms. The association's games will begin in February. Meanwhile, in the world of extreme sports, there's a new highlining distance world record. Now, most ordinary people have trouble looking down from heights or even balancing across low slack lines when they're set up between park trees. However, a video from Left Coast Media House shows 5 brave men and 1 brave woman successfully walking a 1,900-meter-long highline set up over an old asbestos mine in Canada and tying for the new world record. What an amazing feat. That's all for the latest sports, and now back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Edgar, for that report. Once again, these people were getting so up high like Will Smith. Why? Why do they want to do this?
I guess it's an adrenaline rush, but it would just freak me out.
Just so you know, the anchor desk is only about 5 feet off the ground, and I already kind of get a little bit scared up here. Well, we're all pretty familiar with Hurricane Florence, but did you know that the hurricane could affect prices at the grocery store? We'll have more in weather.
And I can't stay.
And with more on Hurricane Florence and the weekend weather, here's Yakira.
Thank you both at the desk. Before we get into this weekend weather, we want to give you an update on the aftermath of Hurricane Florence. The affected areas are now facing water contaminations, and Georgetown in South Carolina is facing unprecedented flooding. Thousands are urged to evacuate, and authorities predict between 8 and 10 feet of flooding that is expected to go through this weekend. So how does this affect you in San Diego? As a consumer, you will see a price increase at the grocery store. The Carolinas are the 3rd largest poultry producers and 2nd in hog production. They are the largest harvesters of sweet potatoes, soybeans, and peanuts. We are getting close to that holiday season, and you will see those prices increase. But now transitioning into the national weather, as we can see, temperatures do vary depending on the region that you're in. As we can see, the East Coast is facing temperatures between the 60s and the 50s. However, down in the south, we see Florida with the topping temperatures across the nation with that 90 degrees. Miami, you definitely need some sun lotion over there and maybe catching some waves as well. Now as we move across to the west coast, we see Portland, the northwestern area in the low 60s, and then we go down into Los Angeles and San Diego, that is us, facing the high 60s. Now there is a reason for this change in weather down here in the southwest. That is, as we transition into our local weather, we see that there are two factors into this. The coast is now between Oceanside and Chula Vista, we see 60s, and this is due to the Hurricane Maria, which is now dissolved. We're going to get lots of moisture into the area, which leads to potential rainfall, but we won't see that until Monday or Tuesday. Now we switch it over to Borrego Springs, the mountain and the inland area. We see that there's a high of 98. We see it very, very, very high, but we also have to be careful of these temperatures. We are reaching the Santa Ana winds weather, which indicates that there's a higher likelihood of fires. And as we saw over this past summer, the California wildfires were just too incredible. So we do want everyone to be very cautious. If you see any shrubs or any types of material that may catch on fire, please be careful in that area. But as we see Palomar, the Palomar mountain areas will also have some changes in temperature there. But as we see the 8-day forecast, as I mentioned, this weekend, fantastic weather in the high 70s, which is our San Diego type of weather. Make sure to drink a lot of water, put some of that wonderful sunscreen on. But as I also mentioned, Monday, Tuesday, we might be seeing that precipitation. Be aware, this is great news for us. We haven't seen rain in a while, and it's also due to that Santa Ana wind, as I said before. But great time, enjoy it. These two drastic changes in temperature, but it's great. It's San Diego, and we enjoy it all. That's all that I have. That's all the time I have for weather. Back to both of you at the desk.
Thank you, Yakira. I don't know if you've seen it, but Yakira has a pretty good rain dance, and I think that's what she's kind of been doing behind set to bring that rain in. It's San Diego. When do we get rain?
Very rarely.
I'm telling you right now, Yakira's rain dance, stay tuned for that. We might give you a clip on our Facebook page. You never know. Well, what if animals could strike back? That's what happened in New Zealand this past week. A seal slapped a kayaker in the face with an octopus. The kayaker's friend was testing out his new GoPro and he caught it all on camera. The kayaker could have been at the wrong place at the wrong time, or maybe the camera guy was in the right place at the right time. Well, that is going to wrap us up here at Newscene. Stay tuned next week for all your local, national, and international news.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.